In the Stone Chumash, we're on page 66. The last thing we were learning is Hashem tells Avram Avinu, you're going to have children. Okay? It was the word of Hashem. Hashem said you're going to get a lot of reward. Avram Avinu said, all I have is my servant Eliezer. I don't have any children. Hashem takes him outside and he shows him the stars and he says, that's how many children you're going to have, right? That's the last thing we learned. So now starts, actually the new thing begins in Pasuk Zayin, 4 lines from the end of page 66, begins, okay, what's called Bris Ben Absarim. Bris Ben Absarim is actually the covenant, literally means the covenant between the parts. As we'll learn, they're going to chop some animals into half, and they can walk through the two halves, which was the way people made a covenant in the olden time. And this is now one of the most important discussions that Hashem has with Avram Avinu. What's going to be the fate of the Jews? Okay, what's the fate of the Jews? So Vayemer Elov, okay, Pasuk Zayin, 4 lines in the end of 66. Vayemer Elov, Hashem said to Avram Avinu like this: Ani Hashem, I am God, Asher Tzisichom Me'ur Kasdim, that took you out of Ur Kasdim. That's why Avram Avinu was thrown into the furnace, and he miraculously came out alive. Why did I take you out from Ur Kasdim? He says, Laseis Lecha es haaretz hazeis l'rishta, to give you this land as inheritance. First, Hashem promised Avram Avinu, you're going to have a lot of reward. Avram Avinu said, I don't have any kids. Hashem said, don't worry, you're going to have a lot of kids. Now Hashem is telling Avram Avinu, this land, meaning the land of Canaan, which is the land of Eretz Yisrael, Hashem says, I am giving it to you. Now, what's interesting, Hashem is telling Avram Avinu, Ani Hashem. Later on in Chumash, when Moshe Rabbeinu complained to God and he said, since you sent me to Pharaoh, you only made it worse. And why are you sending me? And you made problems. So Hashem over there in Parshas Va'eda says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Va'eda al Avram al Yitzchak al Yaakov bekel Shadi u'shmi Hashem lo noidaiti lohem. Hashem said to Avram, to Moshe Rabbeinu, I never told them the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. I never told them the name of Hashem. Yet this pasuk says, V'yema Hashem. Hashem said to Avram Avinu. That means Hashem did reveal himself with the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. The same thing we find by Yaakov Avinu. Hashem also said the name Yud Kei Vav Kei to Yaakov Avinu. So why does he tell Moshe Rabbeinu, I haven't been known to them? So the commentators explain, very simple. Hashem told him the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. He said, Ani Hashem. But it wasn't a revelation of Yud Kei Vav Kei. It was just, this is my name. I have a name called Yud Kei Vav Kei. The revelation, the great level of godliness, which is in the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, that's what he said, I haven't made myself known to them. He didn't reveal himself with that, but he did tell them the name of Hashem. Why did I take you out? To give you this land. Meaning, the land that I'm giving you, Eretz Yisrael, is not from now. It's already from when I took you out of Ur Kasdim. Now, what's interesting over here, and most Mefarshim say this, Avram Avinu was 70 years old at this time. According to the calculations, Avram Avinu was 70 years old at this time. At the beginning of Lech Lecha, when Hashem told Avram, go out, just go to where I show you, it says Avram Avinu was 75. So the beginning of the Parsha, when he Lech Lecha, when he told him go out, he was 75. According to the reckoning of the years, Avram Avinu at this time was 70. Because Hashem said, your children are going to be slaves in Egypt for 430 years. starting the 400 years from the birth of Yitzchak. Yitzchak was born when Avraham Avinu was 100. So the 30 years of Avraham Avinu was 70. And that's the reckoning. So at this time, Avraham Avinu was really 70. So that's why the Gemara says there's a rule in Torah, a muktam u'ma'uchad b'Torah. There's no chronological order in Chumash. We find a few places in Chumash that a later event is mentioned earlier. At the beginning of Bamidbar we have that. A later event is mentioned earlier, for whatever reason it may be. So even though at the beginning of the Pasha Avraham Avinu was 75, but this story of Bris Bein Hamsavim happened 5 years before the Lech Lecha me'aretzecha me'latcha beis avicha.
So was he, at this point, was he in Eretz Yisrael, or was he in...
He was in Eretz Yisrael. He says, I'm giving you Eretz Hazais, this land.
But you said that was in the 75.
Then he left, he came back. That's what the Mefarshim say. At 70 he was there, he left, he came back, and Hashem told him to go at 75 to go out again. It was actually twice. Okay, so Vayoma Hashem said, so now Avraham Avinu says like this. Hashem Elokim, he uses the name Hashem Elokim, we'll see what that means. It's rare in Chumash, only 4 times in the entire Chumash. Bama Eida Ki Eroshenu. How will I know that I'm going to inherit it? And it's interesting. The commentators ask, when God promised him a child, a few psukim ago, he didn't say, God, can you show me a proof? When he came to the land of Eretz Yisrael, Avraham Avinu says to Hashem, B'ma Eidam, whereby well shall I know that I'm going to inherit the land? Why over here is he asking for a simon? So Rashi goes into the whole Megillah over here, and he says, because he said B'ma Eida, meaning like this. He wanted to know, with what will I merit to have the land? When God said to him, you're going to have a child is a normal thing to have. You have a child. God didn't say, prove it, I'm going to have a child. But Avraham Avinu is told by Hashem, you're going to inherit this land, the land of Eretz Canaan, Eretz Yisrael. So Avraham Avinu said to God, in what merit, B'ma Eida, meaning with what will I inherit, what merit, what schutz do I have to inherit the land of Canaan? What mitzvah do I have to inherit the land? Now, this interesting thing, Hashem Elokim, okay, if you notice, Adnai, okay, in God's name, as you all know, the real name of God is Yud Kei Vav Kei, okay? We don't pronounce it the way Yud Kei Vav Kei is voweled. You know, Lahavda, the Jehovah guys, okay. But, in fact, like this. God's name, if you look in the Siddur, God's name is written Yud Kei Vav Kei. How do we pronounce it? Adnai, or I don't want to say the real name. Adnai, Aleph Daled Nun Yud, is the way we pronounce it. How is it written? Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now then you have another thing, it's called Elokim. Now, over here, the Medrash says, the Gemara says, Avram was the first one, page 66 at the bottom. Avram Avinu was the first one to call God Master. Nobody ever called God Adnai. Again, I'm saying it Adnai, that's the way it's pronounced when you don't want to say Hashem's name. Adnai means Adon, is master. But Avram Avinu was the first person that ever called God with this name Adnai. Here, he's saying Adnai Elokim. It's written Yud Kei Vav Kei, but the vowels are Elokim. Now, what does that mean? Havaya Adnai this. So, Rashi doesn't comment, but the Mefarshim comment. The Mefarshim comment, it means like this. Elokim is the attribute of strictness, judgment. Right? Bereshit bara Elokim, God created the world, limitation. power, might, is Elokim. Yud Kei Vav Kei, Hashem Kel Rachum V'Chanun. Yud Kei Vav Kei is the name of mercy. Elokim is Din. Havaya Yud Kei Vav Kei is Rachamim. Hashem Kel Rachum V'Chanun. When you have Yud Kei Vav Kei with the vowels of Elokim, so the Mefarshim explained that means he's Rachamim B'Din. He's merciful in judgment. Because you could be nice in judgment, you could be mean in judgment. Hashem is, Havaya is both names together, Adnai and Elokim, right? The way we pronounce it, the way it's read, to show that Hashem is merciful in Din. And this is what Hashem is telling Avram Avinu, okay? Avram Avinu is, why does it say over here the name of Elokim? It's like it says it's only 4 places in the whole Chumash, what it means. But it means obedience, acceptance, and the uniqueness of Hashem's Elokim.
But it comes in Tehillim.
In Tehillim you have it a lot. Correct.
Yeah.
In Tehillim you have it a lot. In Chumash, 4 times in Chumash. That's what they say over here. I didn't have to work it out. What?
All right. So sometimes Hashem is written with 2 Yuds. Sometimes it's written Aleph, Dalet, Yud.
Yud is just a modern, not modern. It's not one of the names of Hashem. 2 Yuds.
So how did it come about?
Because they don't want to write Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud. They don't want to write Yud Kei Vav Kei, so they write 2 Yuds.
So what's the difference between Aleph, Dalet, Yud and Yud Kei Vav Kei?
But you pronounce it.
You know, the Gemara says, whoever answers Amen is greater than one that makes the bracha. It's the Gemara in brachas. Aina Amen is Gadol, Aina Amen Yosem than the one that makes the bracha. So simply, the explanation, simple meaning of the Gemara is because you make a nomination and you second it, you validate it, so that's stronger than the nomination. The guy makes the bracha, he's saying Hashem is great, and you say Amen, so you're validating it, so it's greater than. But the Mefarshim say a deeper meaning. It's very interesting. Yud Kei Vav Kei is 26. Right? 26. Aleph Dalet Nun Yud equals 65. Trust me, equals 65. 65 and 26 is 91. Correct?
Yes.
The word Amen, Aleph Mem Nun, is 91. Right? Aleph 1, Mem 40, Nun is 50. Amen equals 91. So therefore it's like this. The guy that says the bracha only says the word Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud. He doesn't say Yud Kei Vav Kei. Right? But the guy that answers Amen, he got both names, Havaya and Adnai. Because it equals 91, so he's saying both. He's saying both together. But there's something else I wanted to say about this. But anyway, this is the name of Havaya and Adnai and Elokim. Oh, so there's an interesting thing, by the way. You know, there was a kid that was reading. This is the way to tell a story. There's a kid who was reading in Hebrew school. You know, the Siddur. Whenever he came to Hashem's name, Yud Yud, he stopped it. He stopped like the end of a sentence. So his teacher said to him, Yankele, why every time you see 2 Yuds, is it the end? Do you make an end of a sentence? He says, because if you look in a book, anytime there's a colon at the end of, how do you end the book? How do you have the end of a sentence? Even here, you have 2 dots, right? So he says, the 2 Yuds, there's an end of a pasuk. So the teacher said to him, no. Listen, Yankele, he said, this is a beautiful word. He says, two is 2 Yuds. 2 Yuds represent 2 Yidden. 2 Yuds, right? He says, when they're on top of each other, meaning one thinks he's better than the next, It's the end of a pasuk. It's the end. But when they're next to each other, then it's God. When two Jews are next to each other, then it's God's name. When they're on top of each other, then it's an end of a pasuk. But this is what Avraham Avinu asked for a sign. In other words, he basically, as the Mizrahi and other Mefarshim explained, Avraham Avinu wanted to know in what merit will I conquer the land. So Hashem told him, take these animals and all this, split it in half, cut it in half. So basically the Mefarshim say, what was Hashem's answer to Avraham Avinu? In the merit of sacrifices. You want to know what merit the Jews are going to have, the land of Israel? In the merit of the korbanos of the sacrifices. And that's why Brisbein Hapsadim, Hashem says to him, you're going to conquer the land. He says, what merit will we have? Hashem says, you'll have the korbanos, the sacrifices. And he said to him like this, Choli egla mishuleshes. It's very interesting because this is a big machlekes, the big argument. Normally, egla mishuleshes in Hebrew doesn't mean three calves. It means a third-born calf. No, egla mishuleshes. But here, the way most commentaries learn, Hashem said to him like this: Choli egla mishuleshes. Take 3 calves, ve'ez mishuleshes, and 3 goats, ve'ayil mishulosh, and 3 rams, ve'sar ve'olgos, and a turtle dove and a young dove. So he told him basically, now, why did God tell him to take these korbanos and 3 of each? Remember, we just said that the merit that they're going to inherit the land is the korbanos. So Hashem said like this: an egla mishulashes represents the 3, the 1 bull that was brought on Yom Kippur, 1 bull which was brought when the Jews forgot a halach and they went against Bezdin, and then Eid mishulashes represents the goat brought on Yom Kippur, the goat brought an additional korbanos and musaf. Ayil mishulash represents the Oshim Tolei. Basically, these are all the various different sacrifices that the Jews brought during the year. So Hashem said to Avraham, you want to know what merit you're going to have the land? In the merit of sacrifices. So he says, get me 3 calves, 3 goats, 3 rams, a young turtle dove, and a young dove.
On Yom Kippur they would do the
What?
sacrifice. On Yom Kippur they would do the sacrificing.
Sure. They did extra.
On Yom Kippur, on Yom Kippur.
Let me tell you a little secret. On Shabbos they brought sacrifices. Do you daven musaf on Shabbos? Why do we daven musaf? Because they brought an additional korban. Not only what? The heat's on. Not only did they bring the regular daily korbanos, they brought extra korban. When the Torah says on certain days you have to bring sacrifices, you have to bring them. If somebody wanted to donate a sacrifice, that you were not allowed to be brought on Shabbos or Yom Kippur. But the obligatory sacrifices that they had to bring every day, plus korban musaf, and Yom Kippur was extra goats and a whole long procedure, then of course they brought it.
So, like on Shabbos and Yom Tov, they brought
Communal, but extra, more than during the weekday. During the week we have Shachris and Mincha.
But can a person bring a personal korban?
Not on Shabbos.
Not on Shabbos.
Not on Shabbos. That was the whole question in the Gemara, that everybody forgot the halacha except Hillel. When Erev Pesach falls out on Shabbos, so you have to bring the korban Pesach. Correct? So they forgot the halacha, the Salma halacha me'bnei Beseira. The Bnei B'Sei were the leaders of the Jews at that time. They forgot the halacha, do you bring a korban Pesach on Shabbos or not? Is it have a status of a private korban, and therefore it doesn't desecrate Shabbos? Or does it have a status of a communal korban, and therefore you do bring it on Shabbos?
Wouldn't it be considered communal because everybody eats from it?
Only the people part of it.
But like
No, the reason why they did it, they learned out from a pasuk. It says b'moyadai in its time, which means even Shabbos. But Korban Pesach is really a private korban. It's a family. You know, people have to be counted in it and so on.
Have to clean and
Okay, Vayikach leis kolela. He took all of these things. Okay, meaning Avram Avinu brought all these things to Hashem. V'yavater eisam atovech. He cut them down in the center, dividing it into two parts. Rashi said. Vayiten ish bisre lekras re'eyu, and he took the two halves facing each other. You know, he took the calves, the goats, cut exactly in the middle, and then he took them separately, space in between, and he made them facing each other.
how do you cut the bone? Like the head, for example.
He had a good knife.
Was it like was from the head to the toe, or it was like?
But Pashtus, by the way, it seems over here that Avram Avinu was the one that did it.
maybe he shot it and then do it.
Now the question is an interesting discussion. Did they cut him lengthwise or widthwise?
Two heads.
No, that he brings down a Kedis Yitzchak, that a commentary says the animals were divided lengthwise. So therefore, he says, why? Because then the two halves were exactly alike. One had a hand, a foot, hind quarter. Like this, we cut it. If the face is here and the back is here, and you cut it this way, so then both halves are not equal. Correct? Yeah? How do you make both sides equal when you cut a half? So you cut it lengthwise. So that's what he says. So therefore, each half had a hand, or front leg, back leg. You know, the rib, the back side, everything was 50-50.
It's not only like a saw, like special, like electric saw.
He cut it laser.
Laser.
Yeah. Now, why so Mepharshim explained, by the way, this is the way covenants used to work in the olden times. How did people make a covenant between two people, whatever? They would take something, as if whole, they cut it in half, and they would walk in between the two halves to show that we're part of this one whole. So that's what Hashem did with Avram Avinu. That's why it's called Bris Bein Absarim. It's the covenant between the halves.
So what are we doing now?
Huh?
Why do we do it?
What do you want to do it for?
I mean, why wouldn't we do it now? Like as a halacha was, I mean, like religious wise.
Oh, because this is so against halacha. That's why. But look what it says. V'esa tzipor leibasa. He didn't. The birds, though, even though it says tzipor singular, means Mepharshim say all the birds. He didn't cut. Why? The animals refer to the goyim. The birds refer to the Jews. So the goyim, by showing they're going to be cut, Hashem shows them that the power of the goyim, you know, the nations of Canaan, are going to weaken. But the tzipor, the bird, which represents the Jews, that's not going. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be strong.
Didn't you also do it later on with the king of Avimelech?
With Avimelech, yeah.
But then when Abraham wanted Eliezer to find a wife for Yitzchak, he made him swear on a brick.
That was but that was an oath. That wasn't the covenant.
What was
I mean, David and Yonasan, you know, would read in Haftarah Malchah Chodesh also made a covenant, but they just did a verbal. They didn't cut an animal in half and walk between.
So cutting in an animal was a goyish thing now?
It was the custom of making covenants in those days.
So it was a goyish thing, it was not
There was no Yidin or Goyim then. It was that was the way things were done. Okay, now, so what did he do? He put the dove and the young dove, instead of cutting them in half, he just took one on one side, one on the other side. So he had half of the animals on one side, and then the bird and the turtle dove also on opposite sides. Okay. And by the way, the Mepharshim point out all these different things that he cut in half shows the various different golas of, he says, Media, Persia, Greece, Rome. These are all representing the various nations of the world that the Jews were going to be in Golus to. And the birds of prey came onto the carcasses to eat them, but Avram Avinu shooed them away, like the mosquitoes. He shooed them away. Okay? Now, what does this mean? The Radak explains, what does it mean that the bird... Okay, there was a bunch of dead meat, right, and the birds. So, birds come to dead meat, right? The birds of prey come to eat the dead meat. They grab it and they eat it. So therefore, this represents that in every generation they want to destroy the Jews. In other words, let me just say this. This Bris Ben Absarim is the whole concept of the Jews going into exile. The Medrash says, at this time, Avraham Avinu was given a choice by Hashem. He said, the Jews are going to be sinning. That's a given. You have a choice. Will they go to Gehenna, to hell, or should they go into Golus? And basically, Avraham Avinu picked Golus over Gehenna. One opinion says he first picked Gehenna and then he changed his mind for Golus. But this Bris Ben Absarim is the whole covenant of God and the Jews that Hashem is telling Avraham Avinu, your children are going to exile, they're going to be tortured by the Goyim, and then they're going to go out with a lot of money, out of Egypt with a lot of money. So this is the whole concept of Bris Ben Absarim. The psukim that we learned before that deals with the Avraham Avinu having children. This deals with the future of the Jewish people, that there's going to be Golus as a punishment for their sins, and they're going to be tortured. And like it says, the birds of prey came to eat up, meaning in every generation, b'chol dar v'dar, like we say, are coming, and Avraham Avinu chased them away. Okay, like he says, he chased them away until Hashem could finish the covenant. Because he needed the animals there for the covenant. He didn't want them to get lost.
Well, you said that animals represented the Goyish nations.
Right.
So,
but that the Jews are going to be in Golus by the Goyim, so that's what represents the Goyish, the animals. Okay. V'yashemesh lavai, and the sun was about to set. V'sadema nafla Avram, and a tremendous deep sleep. Tadema is not the, Tadema is a deep sleep, like the 4th hour. Tadema nafla Avram, a deep sleep fell on Avram. V'ne'ema chashecha gedel nefel, so the blood, a dread, great darkness fell on Avram Avinu. Now, we know why did Hashem put him to sleep? Because now Hashem is going to tell him a prophecy. The only Navi that got prophecy up and alive and kicking was Moshe Rabbeinu. All the other prophets, every single prophet besides Moshe Rabbeinu and Bilam, by the way, Bilam also had the prophecy during the day when he was blessing the Jews. But all the other prophets got their prophecy when they fell asleep. Now the fact that Hashem made a deep sleep shows it's going to be a deep prophecy, meaning a very fundamental, important prophecy, not just a regular one. It's going to be a major prophecy. And Chashecha Gedela Nefel Solov, his limb trembled. All until now, why did Avraham Avinu not shake and all that? Because everything until now was good. Until now, everything was good. Now Hashem is going to tell me your kids are going into Golus. So now started the bad stuff. So Avraham Avinu shook and he fell asleep and went to sleep. Now the Rambam explains why does prophecy come when somebody is asleep? Because the neshama in the body, for most prophets, is not great enough that God should reveal it to the soul, which is constrained and limited by the body. When the neshama goes to sleep, so then the neshama leaves the body, it's purer, so then that's when the prophecy comes. Moshe Rabbeinu was so great, his body was so refined, he was able to get prophecy even when he was in the body. But all the other prophets, including Avraham Avinu, had to actually go to sleep, and then he was able to dread in darkness, and basically Hashem told Avraham Avinu, when the Jews sin, this is what's going to happen to them.
Yaakov wanted to bless his sons at the end, and it said he wanted to tell them when Mashiach was going to come, and the prophecy was taken away from him.
Right.
He didn't have a prophecy when he was away?
No, because it was a fact that he knew.
Okay.
When did he get that knowledge? Could be he got it 10 years earlier, in his sleep. No, I'm saying it. He just wanted to reveal it, and then Hashem didn't want him to reveal when Mashiach's coming then. Okay, Vayemel Avram, so Avram Avinu was told, it said to Avram like this. Yodea Teda, what's a double expression mean? You should know with certainty, that this is definitely going to happen. Yodea Teda ki geye zaracha be'eres leilohem, that the Jews are going to be in Golus in a country that doesn't belong to you. Okay? Meaning, so he said, what's the double expression? The Medrash says, number one, that God says, I'm going to disperse your descendants, but you should know I'm going to gather them back. Or, I'm going to take them as a pledge for the sins, meaning Golus, but eventually I'm going to take them out. So in other words, Hashem's telling him two things over here. Okay? Hashem is telling him in this pasuk, you should know your kids are going to be slaves in Egypt. Then Hashem says, the second half is then they're going to go out. So Hashem is telling you the double expression, Yodoa Teda, you should know the negativity of it and the positivity of it, that they're going to go out with a great... They're going to be the slaves. Not only that, means they're going to oppress them for 400 years. Now, 1 second. When did this begin? From the birth of Yitzchak. Because from the time the Jews were in Egypt, the Jews were only in Egypt 210 years. Redu, right? 210 years the Jews were in Egypt. And of that, by the way, and this is again, Hashem Elokim, the merciful in Din, when the Jews were enslaved in Egypt, how many years were the hard labor? It was only the last 90 years. They were there 210 years, Redu Shama, but the hard labor was only 9. And the Medrash says why? That's why Miriam, who was 5 years older than Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe was 80 when the Egyptian story happened, so Miriam was 85. Why was she called Miriam? From the word mar, bitter. That's when the hard slavery began in Egypt. So the Medrash says the hard slavery in Egypt began the last 90 years. But the Jews were in Egypt 210. Hashem was kind to count it from the birth of Yitzchak.
She was only 5 years old when she was only 5 years old when she was
Yeah. So Rivka was 3 years old, being a shepherd, taking care of her.
But they say Yitzchak was 2 years that he was weaned. Doesn't
Why? Why?
At 2 years old he was
Weaned.
weaned.
No.
But 3 years old, yeah, she was able to be a shepherd.
Yeah.
So
No. This is Rivka 3 years old before Yitzchak was born.
I know, but the age was.
At 2-year-old you weaned up milk.
Right.
At
So,
3-year-old you shepherd.
yeah, why not? Why not?
That was just
Yes.
Does Hashem make the whole plan ahead of time?
He did here.
And when something comes out, he changes?
They make a simple cheshbon. The pasuk says when Yaakov was born,
Yes.
Yitzchak was 60. Correct? Yitzchak ben Shishim Shana Beled Seisa. Now, how old was Yaakov when he came to Egypt? 130. He told Pharaoh, I'm 130 years old. Okay? Now, 60 and 130. 60 and 130
Oh.
is 190. Right?
Right.
So it couldn't be, and then 2 years later they got out. So it couldn't be from Yaakov going down to Egypt. So therefore we must say it's in the birth of Yitzchak. And then you have the cheshbon clearly of 400 years. From the birth of Yitzchak until the Jews left Egypt was 400 years. But the question over here that the Rambam asks and really doesn't answer, and all the Mefarshim ask, why in the world is he asking a question that he can't answer, or he doesn't answer? And that is, God already told, Hashem told Avram Avinu, you should know that your children are going to be tortured by the Egyptians. Hashem said that, the prophecy, right? Your kids are going to be tortured by the Egyptians. So why was Pharaoh punished for torturing the Jews? God said that's going to happen. It wasn't even up to Pharaoh. Pharaoh didn't even have the free will. Seemingly, Pharaoh didn't have the free will. Hashem said to Avram Avinu over here, your children are going to be enslaved and tortured in Egypt. That's what the pasuk says. Hashem tells Avram Avinu that's what's going to happen to your children. So why is Pharaoh punished? Because he's torturing the children. Huh? So,
Enjoyed it.
some people say he overboarded, enjoyed it. But you know what? Inu afflictum is affliction. I mean, but there's the Rebbe once spoke about this. He brought a lot of proofs from different places. And that is, even when God says no, if God says you can't do tshuva, you can still do tshuva. Even when God himself says you can't, what?
You have the power of Ratzon.
Power of Ratzon is ability for a Jew to go against what Hashem promised. That means, even though Pharaoh was told by Hashem, basically, you're going to torture the Jews, Pharaoh had the ability not to do it. Even though Hashem said you're going to do it. Pharaoh had the ability, even as a goy, which is interesting, he wasn't a Jew. He had an ability as a goy not to do what Hashem said he was for sure going to do. And for that he was punished. If you think about it, Pharaoh is punished for torturing the Jews. Hashem said that's what's going to happen. What do you want from him? What?
Why this whole thing had to happen like with Abraham and 210 years and whatever 400 years?
No.
Why?
Hashem is telling Avram Avinu, let me tell you what's going to happen to your children.
Why?
Because when do the Jewish people become a nation? When they leave Egypt. So Hashem's telling the first Jew, when are your children going to become Jewish? When they left Egypt, they were a newborn baby. That's when they became... Huh? That's the life of a Jew, because that's what Avram Avinu picked Golus instead of Gehenna.
My question is, why does it say 400 years if it's only 2010?
Because Hashem, in kindness, started the calculation from Yitzchak's birth. It was supposed to be 400 years. But that's why Hashem Elokim, right? Rachamim Bedin, merciful in din, that Hashem, and in His kindness, started counting it from the birth of Yitzchak. Because even then, the Jews were in Golos, there was Avimelech, the Jews had problems, there was Yaakov and Esau, there was a lot of problems going. What?
When they count 210,
One second. What?
Relating to what you're talking about, and I kind of have the same question, like why he had to know all this source. Isn't there also the concept that did Abraham die earlier so that he didn't see how, was it Esau was going to be? Was that, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
So how does that relate to that? Like there is a concept of him not having to see the future, that wasn't such a pleasant thing.
In a few psukim from now, Hashem says to Avram Avinu, "Va'ata tovai elavisecha b'sholem, tikaver b'sefer Teva." Basically, the Medrash says, Avram Avinu said to Hashem, am I going to be part of the suffering too? Hashem says, you not. You're going to have a ripe old age. He died 5 years earlier not to have to deal with Esav.
So how does that relate then? Is that like a personal suffering, so it's more harsh?
It wasn't personal, it was only his children.
But Abraham had to suffer when his wife passed away. He had to suffer.
His wife passed away. She was 127, man. Nobody younger should die.
No, I know, but he had to, that was a hard way of, she suffering that, she died, and then came and was surprised that she died. And all
Okay, so
So it's
suffering by itself.
though that he
Yishmael did tshuva. Okay, he died before he saw Esav being wicked. His father Terach did tshuva, the Medrash says, before he died. So Avraham Avinu lived in a peaceful life, and he was buried in Mars Machpelah with Tadam and Chava.
Lois said that he died 5 years early so that he wouldn't have the embarrassment of people saying, look what your grandson did.
Why did Avraham Avinu protest? Like saying, no, they shouldn't have to suffer.
No, because he understood. By Sdoim, he's takafot, yeah? Why didn't you? It's a good question. Why didn't he fight over here that the Jews shouldn't have suffering? Huh? But there's an answer to the question. The suffering of the Jews was a cleansing process, and therefore it was good. Hashem said the Jews are going to sin. Okay? I could destroy the nation. Or I can cleanse them for their sins. So Hashem gave him two alternatives: Gehenim, hell, or Golus, exile. He picked exile because he felt that was the lesser of the evils. But on the contrary, Hashem is telling Avraham Avinu, I want you to know that your children are going to sin, but I'm not going to destroy them like I destroyed all the other empires of the world. The Jews are going to be cleansed.
So everything that you see in Golas today, like all the
Is cleansing.
that don't necessarily even know they're Jewish or this or that all comes from this.
That they don't know they're Jewish.
Yeah, people who don't know they're Jewish, or that the whole thing is exile. Like in Golas.
Yeah, we're in Golus, in case you didn't know.
So is this stemming from all the way from this?
Yeah. Yep.
But what about only 1/5 survived. The 4/5 of them died.
Right. No.
I mean, why they had to die?
Because they didn't want to go out.
But they got suffered. I mean, they actually got.
They didn't suffer. They just died in 3 days of darkness and they were buried. There was no suffering. They just died. Popped off and finished.
Want to eat matzah.
They probably ate matzah, but they didn't want to go out.
The cucumbers and watermelon.
This is all before Matan Torah, don't forget.
Why had to go through 10 tests?
Who?
Abraham.
To prove his connection to Hashem, that in every 10 aspects, each aspect of his soul, he was connected to Hashem.
What's the 10 levels of the soul?
Why did Avram have 10 tests? There's 10 levels of the neshama, right? Intellect, emotions. So Avraham Avinu was given 10 tests because Hashem wanted to prove or to show that Avraham Avinu was connected in all 10 aspects.
When he did the Akedah, was that Malchut or
It was Malchus, which was the connection of all of them together. That's why he said, now I know that you fear God. Okay. Okay, so it says like this: V'games hagoy. So, therefore, even then, Pharaoh was punished because he still had the option and the free choice not to do it, not to punish the Jews. V'games hagoy she'avedu dana nechi. And then Hashem says like this: even the nation that punished the Jews, dana nechi, I'm going to judge them, meaning I will punish them. V'achrechen yetzu bechush gadol. And then they're going to go out with a lot of money, great wealth. They're going to leave out of a content nation that had a lot of money.
Wouldn't it be better to give them a lot of spiritual wealth instead of like
They
physical
left
wealth?
Egypt with spiritual wealth. They went straight to Matan Torah.
But it took 49 days though.
Huh?
It took 50 days.
Took 50 days, but that was the spiritual preparation for it.
They also saw the miracles in Egypt.
When the Jews left Egypt, okay, they left with a lot of money. The Gemara says every Jew, there wasn't a Jew that didn't walk out with 90 donkeys loaded with gold, silver, diamonds, and all that. Yeah? No. Then it says in the Medrash, Gadol bizas hayam mi bizas Mitzrayim. When the Jews went to Kriyas Yamsuf, yeah? Over there, they got more money at Kriyas Yamsuf than they did when they left Egypt. Because they would all put ornaments on their animals, gold and everything, that all came up. In fact, it says over there, Vayasa Moshe Zam, Moshe Rabbeinu had to force the people to get away from the Kriyas Yamsuf. In fact, the Rebbe asks over there in Sicha, an interesting question. The Jews were so excited to go Matan Torah. What did he do? They had enough money already. What are they going to do with all that money?
Yeah.
Is to build a Mishkan. So Moshe Rabbeinu had to force them. They were getting money to build a Mishkan.
Moshe Rabbeinu saw ahead of time and they're going to go to Mishkan?
Yeah. So the Jews were collecting money to be able to build a Mishkan for Hashem, to have the Shekhinah rest.
But also, at the golden calf, Moshe Rabbeinu refused Hashem. He says he gave them all that gold.
It's your fault. That's the way you work. Moshe Rabbeinu was a Jew, don't forget. Hashem gave the money, Hashem gives money to Jews, the Jews sin with the money, so Moshe Rabbeinu blames God for doing it. That's the way it works. Okay, yeah, he elaborates all this whole thing that we were talking about. Okay, so he says, then they're going out with a lot of money, and he says, you're going to die, mates, basically. You're going to go back to your parents in peace. Like it says, what was the peace? The peace was that Yishmael did tshuva, and his father did tshuva, and, everybody, he died very peacefully. No suffering. In fact, Esav, because Hashem promised Avraham Avinu that he's not going to suffer, Hashem made that Esav should hide 2 years of doing evil, that Avraham Avinu shouldn't have to see it. So Hashem promised him he's going to... you're going to have peace from all sides. In fact, some of Farshim learn that Tovei alav Yisecha doesn't only mean you're going to die, go back to your parents' grave, Avisecha comes from the word Ava. In Hebrew, Lo Ava Hashem Hashchisecha, Hashem doesn't want. In Hebrew, the word Aleph Veis Hey means want. There's many psukim chumash, Lo Ava Hashem Hashchisecha. So he says, Tavei, some of Farshim learn, Avisecha means you're going to go back to your yearnings. You're going to reach spiritual peace, spiritual tranquility, and this is what's going to be, you're going to merit to have all of this. Some people say, who is Avisecha over here? If you take it in the literal sense, it can't be Terach, because Terach is buried in Choron. So some of Farshim learn, Taka, what it means is that Ato Tovel Avisecha B'Sholem means Taka Adam and Chava. Huh? What's interesting, Avraham Avinu, there's a whole story, it's a Balaturim, it's a Medrash, when Avraham Avinu, the angels came to him, yeah. So it says over there he went to get them the meat, 3 tongues, you know. So it says over there, "Vala bakar rotz Avram." Avraham Avinu ran to the bakar, to the cattle, and he took 3 animals. The Medrash says the word bakar is the same word as hakever, the grave. What happens is, the Medrash says, it's a remarkable story. When Avraham Avinu was getting the animal for the malachim, he tried getting it, the animal ran away. And Avraham Avinu chased it.
There's 3 of them or 1 of them?
Well, 3, when he took one, that animal, all 3 didn't run. That animal ran away. Avraham Avinu chased it. The Medrash says the animal went into Maras HaMachpelah. Because Avraham Avinu was in Hebron at that time. He ran to Maras HaMachpelah. And Adam Arishin got up. Don't ask me what it means in the literal sense. Adam Arishin got up. And that's how Avraham Avinu saw it. And therefore when it says, V'la bakar rotz Avraham, ela keved, same letters as keved, he ran to the grave, he ran and saw Maras HaMachpelah. Therefore when Sarah died, he knew where he wanted to be buried, so he went to Ephron to buy Maras HaMachpelah. How did he know about Maras HaMachpelah? Don't forget, Avraham Avinu never saw Adam Rishon. So maybe there was news, you know, in the newspapers. It said that he was buried in Maras HaMachpelah. He Googled it. No, but I'm saying, how did Avraham Avinu b'Pashtus know where Avraham Avinu was buried? Could be Noach didn't even. I mean, you know, but he knew because he saw Adam Rishon come out of the grave. And therefore he wanted to be buried there. And therefore it could be some of Farshim say, when it says, V'ato tovel v'secha b'sholem, it means actually, what you call it, the Maras HaMachpelah. And that's why the Medrash says Yitzchak died at 180, right? Avram died at 175. The Medrash says that Hashem, really Avram Avinu is also supposed to live 180. Hashem said, I'd rather him die peacefully 5 years earlier than go through the hell of Esav and live 5 years longer. Interesting moral. Is it better to die early and die peacefully, or to die later with aggravation? But Avram Avinu, you see, what did Hashem do? Huh?
It's like a wayward kid.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say that Yitzchak had aggravation, but because of Esau.
Yitzchak wasn't promised by Hashem that you're going to have peace.
But also, Yitzchak was blind. He didn't really see.
Somebody once came to, I just read this, somebody once came to the Rebbe and was complaining he has a hard life. So the Rebbe said to him, you never had a contract with God to have an easy life.
You never have what?
You never had a contract with God to have an easy life. God never gave you a contract for an easy life. God gave you a contract to live. That's it. It is what it is.
However, Rabbi, but
What?
also isn't there stories also people go to the Rebbe and say that it's hard for them to do their mission, and the Rebbe said, well, why don't you ask to remove that part?
Right? No.
So how does that fit into that?
It fits in that a person should say, I want to do my mission, get rid of the negativity instead of get rid of the mission. Why is suicide so against everything Yiddish Judaism stands for? Because the purpose of a Jew is to live.
So
L'chaiban.
part of the
What?
big plan.
It's part of the big plan.
So
But the reason why this is what it is, because it is the big plan. It is the very big plan.
but if somebody kills themselves, it's a part of the plan.
No, in the outcome it was part of the plan, but he sinned by doing what he wasn't allowed to do. Anything that happens in the world was part of the plan. The only question is, are you going against what you should be doing, and therefore you're going against the plan.
That's why you have the choice.
Right. Okay, we'll leave it here.